the review for Exam 3. In Exam 3, we'll be focusing heavily on resource planning as well as a number of other chapters. The exam will be available on Tuesday, is worth 100 points, and is comprised of 50 questions, each worth is 2 points. As mentioned in previous semester or previous classes, there's a lot of focus on enterprise resource planning. You'll need to both understand what an ERP is as well as be able to describe it. The modules of ERP include finance and accounting, sales and marketing, production materials management, and human resources. You can expect to see that in either a true, false, or multiple choice question. Additionally, the overall evolution of ERP, one of the things that we spent a lot of time talking about was when benefits kick in. So typically organizations about 8 months after implementation will savings be seen, as well as then the discussion about how expensive the cost can be. I talked about the teams that I've run in terms of the size of an implementation, where typically you'll see implementations run about 3 times the cost of the software. Additionally, we spent some time looking at materials planning systems. We looked at SAP and Oracle in terms of the types of products that they have, understanding that BOM is bill of materials, and that MRP does a backward scheduling approach in terms of reverse engineering the scheduling components, being able to distinguish from a resource planning component for operations management and how it all fits together. Again, this PDF is available on your Moodle site. Resource planning across the organization. I look at the components related to sales and operations planning in the overall. We spent a lot of time talking about capacity, how sales and operations fits from a policy perspective, from integrations with both your sales team and your operations team, and the planning that goes into those components. We talked about the planning meetings that my teams do in both the US and in Europe, and how that then ties back together into an overall process. When you look at it from a manufacturing perspective, when you're talking sales and operations planning, a lot of what you're talking about is relating to capacity and demand, and looking at it from how to best level production in terms of both leveling production and chasing demand. Looking at forecasting, the keys that we talked about there was the overall process, looking at those both in a short, mid, and long-term process perspective. Understanding the time frame from the forecast, as well as how that then worked into creating a demand plan. The different types of sales and operations software that's leveraged. We provided a demo of SAP in terms of creating purchase orders, showing materials available, creating shipping invoices, etc. And this ties back to your SAP assignment in the overall, and then how the sales and operations planning tie into both your financial review and your supply review. As we got further into the discussions, we looked at overall organizational flexibility, the options of getting sales and operations certifications, as well as the understanding what the monthly sales and operations planning process looks like, when to involve executives, and when to focus on just your sales team. A look at what a typical sales forecast would look like, and then an impact on that between production and inventory. We spent a little bit of time talking about demand planning. There's not that many questions on the exam related to that, nor are there around production planning, but wanted to talk about those components. Where there are a lot of questions are related to Chapter 15, so I'd spend most of your time looking at the Chapter 15 slides and the textbook around ERP, CRM, and supply chain software. The components that make up the material recourse planning software, what is involved related to master production schedules, additionally what a sample master production schedule looks like, further development in terms of calculating capacity, as well as understanding who some of the leading vendors are from an ERP perspective. When I talk ERP, again, I'm talking about software that organizes and manages a company's business processes and all of the different components that come with that. The finalization of delivery, linking with external partners. We spent some time talking about the importance of CRM and supply chain management tools. Additionally, we looked at the overlap between all of the different softwares that we are talking about. Then we moved on to the chapter on inventory management. I bolded some of the information here that I think is important as you're reviewing. When we look at the different types of inventory, some of this came across in reading the goal, but at the same time understanding the flow cycle, understanding how best to manage inventory, and then the ABC analysis. There are several questions on the exam related to ABC analysis and how it divides inventory. Understanding that, I would spend a lot of time on these slides in terms of your review, as well as the textbook components related to this. Which items have more impact, which items need to be more recorded, and how that times and ties back into service level components. What are holding costs? What are ordering costs? What are setup costs? And then the EOQ model, understanding the EOQ model as well as reorder points. This exam, more than any of the others, you should be looking at it from a textbook component as well. It is full open book, open notes, and you have 24 hours, a 24-hour window in which to take the exam. You'll have 90 minutes from when you start it. If you have any questions related to the exam, please feel free to send me an email once the exam has started. Unless there are specific problems with the exam, we'll need to hold all questions. Good luck, everyone. Thanks.